What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another video. So in today's video, I wanted to do a trade breakdown of a bottom reversal setup from a demand level on ES using order flow tools such as the Bookmap for entries. So I'll explain to you the analysis of this trade, and then we'll get into the live replay of the Bookmap and show you exactly how you can use that to enter this trade. So as you can see, we had quite a rangy pre-market session, but we did have a very clean demand level, which was pretty much the only level that we had for that day. And as you can see, price sold off very aggressively at the open, came right into the demand. Let's go on a M1 time frame now and look at the patterns that we see here. So as you can see, the market came very aggressively and then made a significant low where there was some move to the upside, and then sorry for that. And then what do we see here? We see a higher low being made. Okay, so there's multiple patterns that you can use. Obviously, a double bottom is quite a common one that works very well on multiple time frames, the M1, the M5. But in this case, we had a low being set. We had moved to the upside, and as you'll see on the Bookmap, this is quite aggressive with lots of aggressive buying that stepped in right here. And then we had a price stalling a little bit, and then we made another low, which is basically just a higher low, as you can see right here. And then in this wick right here, we had a little retrace on top of this structure. Okay, so obviously on a candlestick chart, this doesn't seem too clean, but you'll see now in a second on the Bookmap how clean this actually looks. And then in terms of targets, well, that really depends. That's quite subjective. You can obviously target this high or this high. You can take partials along the way. That really depends what you're happy with. And also a tool as the Bookmap, you can actually use that for targets as well, just looking at the passive orders in the market, okay, and target those areas. So let's head over to the Bookmap and show you exactly how this looked. So as you can see right here, our entry was around 4:37 my time. So obviously here we're just entering our level. So let's just put this to play and see how price reacts. Okay, so as you can see, we entered our area of interest, and obviously this is in a little bit faster speed. The normal speed would be like this. Okay, but I'm gonna speed it up a little bit to not bore you guys out. Here you can see still aggressive selling, and then if you zoom out, you finally see aggressive buying stepping in. This is something that I do a lot when price is at my area of interest. I zoom out, and then you can basically see who's still in control. If you see a shift when you zoom out and you see a shift from sellers to buyers, you know there's something happening. Okay, that doesn't mean we're going to enter right away, but you know there is something happening. Okay, I don't like to be zoomed in too much because the more you zoom in, the more bubbles you see and the more confused you can get. Okay, so I'd like to do intervals of maybe like a minute or two, and to zoom out, I do like 5 or 15 minute intervals. So let's just stay on like a 1 minute interval and see how price reacts. Okay, so you can see we had this bid right here from 127 to 126 contracts that just got filled. We can see that sellers didn't really. So you can see this bid right here, 129. Okay, and then the sellers who came in are smaller. Okay, 89. So this means that price might reverse up, and you see aggressive buyers stepping in. Let's move again. Okay, low is being made. I would like to see sort of a double bottom or sort of a shift on the Bookmap. Aggressive sellers. Okay, we're starting to see some shift here, so moving to the upside. Let's see. It continues. There we go. What are we seeing? We're seeing some sort of shift, right? Seeing finally a stronger move up with aggressive buying, 202 contracts. There you go. A nice move. Price is just stalling a little bit. You can see if you zoom out now, a lot of aggressive buyers are stepping in, right? Look at this one bubble, 326 contracts. Okay. So let's see what happens. Price is retracing a little bit. You can clearly see how buyers and sellers are fighting. We did have this shift right here and another shift right here, which is good. And I'm not trying to chase this move. Let's just wait now, as we can see how price shifted, right? Price was going down very aggressively, lots of aggressive sellers, especially if you zoom out, you can see how much selling there was going on and very weak buying. And look at the buying who's completely shifted now. Okay, we haven't seen this buying strength since this massive drop right here. Okay, and it's our level of interest. So let's see now. What I would like to see is since we have this whole range right here and we have some structure right here, I would like to see, we also have a bid that popped up right here for 92 contracts. What I would like to see is some sort of retest of this area with weaker selling. Okay, as soon as I see weaker selling into this area, which is on top of this structure, I'm willing to put my money, to the risk. If price would come down here and there would be a lot of aggressive selling, like massive red bubbles, huge contract sizes, I would wait this out and then I would wait for this area right here. Wait for this area and see how sellers would react once they reach this level. My first area of interest to enter the market is this one on top of the structure, which is basically just a break and retest of this area. So let's slow it down a little bit and see exactly what happens. Okay, so price is coming down. You can see there was some aggressive selling here, but then look at this. Look at these tiny red bubbles. Okay, so if you like to put on risk now, this is something that you can do, or you can also just wait for some buyers to step in. Okay, that just means that your entry might be a little bit further, maybe at 54s or 53 and a halves or 3/4 instead of 52 and a halves. But that really depends on to you. I personally like to wait for some buyers to step in, but I do want to see weaker selling. As you can see, weaker selling, weaker selling. Nothing clear yet for the buyers. Nothing clear yet, but you can clearly see how just selling is weakening, right? You can see all these tiny red bubbles now instead of those big ones like this one or the ones we had all the way down. So I'm still waiting for this, even though prices already came to my area and showed weaker selling. I didn't really see the buying that I wanted. So let's see if we can get another pullback. There we go. Get another pullback. And here you can see some buying is stepping in. So let's slow it down even more. There we go. I like this. You can see 65 contracts. This is an area where you could say, I'm going to enter the market, I'm going to put my money to the risk. Okay. Obviously, you could have done it here as well. That really depends on your risk tolerance. I really wanted to see weaker selling, which is what we got here when we came to this area, but I didn't really see the buying that I wanted. But now here, after still a lot of weak selling, I'm finally seeing some buying stepping in. So this is where you could decide to enter the market. And in terms of stop loss, well, since we're into here, you could put your stop loss under this low, maybe like 3 points or 4 points would be a decent stop loss size. If you like to have bigger stop losses, you could put it under this low, and that just means you will have to use like a 5-point stop loss, which is also fine. You're gonna have less risk to reward. But in terms of me, like when I enter here, I'd like to put my stop loss just under the most recent low over here, like 3-4 points, right? So for me, this is a good entry. We saw the shift in the market basically from aggressive sellers to aggressive buyers. We had a shift in direction as well on the Bookmap where buyers are showing that they want to take control. Then we had this little structure here on the Bookmap of all these highs. Then we had a retest of it with weaker selling, especially here. Obviously, the selling here was still quite aggressive, but then as it came into this area and retested these highs, you can see how the selling was weakening. Just not many buyers stepped in. And then finally we had another little pullback again of weak selling, and then finally buyers are stepping in. So this is where I would decide to put risk on the table. And then let's just speed it up a little bit and see how the market reacts. And as you can see, after this weak selling and buying is stepping in, then price usually moves quite aggressive. We had another little pullback, a little bit of drawdown. Price is stalling a little bit. Aggressive buyers stepping in again. Still selling is quite aggressive here, as you can see. Again, a little bit of drawdown. These are all good entries over here. 53 and a halves, 54s, good entry. There we go. Speed it up a little bit. And there we go. There we get the push. Entry was around the 54s. And literally in a couple minutes, already up like 7 points, 8 points. Speed it up even more. And there you can finally see the nice push he gave in the reaction. Okay. And then in terms of targets, since you enter here at the 54s, well, if your stop loss is like 3-4 points, if you target 10-15 points, you can get a very nice risk to reward trade of that. And then you have all these basically passive orders, as you can see right here, that you could be targeting. Okay, and that really depends on you. You could be targeting this one, the big one, which is 281 contracts, or this one, 133. That really depends on you, what you're happy with. I know just if I use a 3 to 4 point stop loss, then 10 to 15 point target is I'm very happy with that. So you can clearly see here again, to make a little recap, the shift from sellers to buyers. You can see the shift here in terms of direction as well, where buyers decide to step in and make a shift in direction at our area of interest. And then we had this structure right here. We had some weaker selling happening in this area a couple of times, and then finally when buyers step in, this is where you can enter. Obviously I entered a little bit to the earlier side, but then of course I had a little bit of drawdown, which is fine. But then here you had another entry possibility where sellers came in this area again, and then aggressive buyers stepped in, so you could have entered here again at the 54s. So yeah, all in all, this was a pretty clean trade. Very, very simple, just a basic demand level, and just waiting for the Bookmap to show us who wants to take control. Just remember that it's always good to zoom out on the Bookmap. As you can see, when you zoom out to a M5, 5-minute interval, you can see how selling was weakening right here, and then buyers were stepping in. Okay, you can see the contract size is 28 and 16, 18, and this one 260 contracts basically in this one green bubble. So the more you zoom out, the clearer you can see the shift in the market. Okay. So anyways, guys, I hope this video was helpful. Hope you guys learned something from it. If you have any questions related to how I trade or the Bookmap, just let me know in the comments down below and I'll help you out. All right. So anyways, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.